Oh my God, we are back yet again for another episode of your favorite podcast named Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am Robert Schneider, and as always, I am joined by Brian Baldwin and Matt Armstrong. Guys, how has your week been?
Not too shabby. Watching a lot of movies and just got a blizzard, so I don't have a reason to go outside. So maybe
Yeah,
able to get some more in.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
We had a day off for work on Monday, and I was feeling like bleh, so I just stayed and watched a bunch of movies that day.
Nice.
And yesterday I watched a bunch because I'm on a new sleep medication. It's been driving me insane. Like I woke up like around 9:30, which is the latest I ever sleep. I don't ever sleep that long.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes forever for it to work. It takes like about an hour hour and a half for it to kick in. So blah. But I did watch some good movies. What is the best thing you've watched this week?
Oh, let me see what I watched. I think I can tell you what the worst thing I watched was.
What was the worst? All right, let's go by that. Your worst and your best.
I'm gonna say best. I rewatched a movie I haven't watched in a super long time called Boomerang with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, that's a bad movie.
Oh man, it brought back so many like memories of movies I shouldn't have been watching when I was a kid.
That's what cable did to us.
Yeah.
All right, what was the best movie you watched?
Oh, that was my best. The worst was White Noise.
I've never seen or heard of that one.
It's a brand new one by Noah Baumbach. I think that's how you say his name.
Oh yeah, that's the one that's on Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that was terrible.
It's like a perfect name for the movie.
Right. I was thinking, wasn't there a movie back in the day with Michael Keaton called White Noise?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one was good.
I didn't. Yeah. All right.
What do you?
I think there was a sequel.
No,
if I remember correctly. Yeah, White Noise.
Wasn't White Noise the one about the daughter who could hear her dead dad through the ham radio?
I think that was it, right? But there was also that one movie with
Michael Keaton wasn't in that one.
White Noise. You're thinking of the one with like Randy Quaid or
Yes, yeah.
What was that movie?
I can't remember the name of it.
Guys, we are supposed to be experts at movies here, and we just failed every member of our audience.
Oh,
so we're going to move on.
Quaid, I think I mean Dennis Quaid also.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on for our stupidity.
Sorry, I just realized. Yeah, Randy Quaid.
All right, Brian. What was the worst thing you watched this week, and what was the best? Not including Invisible Maniac.
I unfortunately didn't get around to a whole lot the last week. I messaged Matt actually. I've had the Vestron Wishmaster set sitting on my shelf for like God knows how long, and I had never watched any of those. I fucking love that movie. I've only seen the first one. I haven't watched any of the sequels yet. I had so much fun with it.
Okay.
Geez, I really can't think of much that I've watched. Yeah, I'll just stick with that one. That's like all I can really remember.
All right. So I think the worst thing I watched this week was Death Cheaters. It's an Australian film starring the Grant Page from Stunt Rock, and involved two stuntmen from Australia who get recruited. They're former Vietnam vets and stuntmen from Australia who were recruited by their government to go into an espionage act from some island that was also in the Philippines to capture some papers. And the movie with a name like Death Cheaters, I expected more from it. I expected it to be more like Stunt Rock, like more documentary, but it was really boring. I will read my review of it because I think it's funny. A movie about Vietnam vets turned stuntmen who are recruited for a suicidal mission by the government should be a thrill-a-minute action flick. Instead, this dud should have been titled Bored to Death Cheaters.
Ouch. Ouchie, ouchie.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
I think the best thing I watched this week, don't laugh, Tom Hanks and Bachelor Party.
Oh, it's a good movie.
All right, while I was watching it, I hadn't watched it since I got the Blu-ray, and I was rewatching it, and I started realizing something that I've never realized before, that it seemed like Tom Hanks's role was originally written for Bill Murray. Because he did a lot. It felt like he was channeling Bill Murray. And I'm now wondering how far down the list was Tom Hanks when Bill Murray passed on the script. It also has one of my favorite bits of dialogue in a film.
Brian, are you practicing your incredibly still? Oh, there you go. Oh, wait, maybe not.
I think he froze.
Yeah.
All right. The line is, let's have a bachelor party with chicks, guns, and
Yeah,
fire trucks,
I'm having a lot
and
of
trucks, and hookers, and drugs and booze. Matt, was your bachelor party like that?
No, I didn't have one.
Why didn't you have a? You know what? It's because you did not have a best friend like Adrian Zemed.
No, we got married in during COVID in my wife's brother's backyard. There were about 8 of us there.
That's insane. Almost insane as Brian's internet giving him trouble. Brian, we can see you and hear you. Well, we can see you.
Are we all here together?
Yes. Now you're frozen. You're there. You're moving. You're here, and you're here physically, virtually, and in spirit. Cole, you only got married a few years ago.
Yep.
You're still
20. I think right in 2020 actually.
So you didn't have somebody jump out when they said, "Does anyone have any reason why these two shouldn't get married?" And then this guy pops out or this girl pops out. I've loved them since high school, and I never had the courage to tell them until this day.
They would have had to sneak up somehow behind a chain link fence without us noticing.
It could be ninjas.
Could be. I've dealt with a lot of ninjas, so yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, I mean they would be Ohio ninjas.
I just want to start going to random weddings and just sit in the crowd, and whenever they say that, just hop up and be like, "He's been fucking wife." Just gangster.
Man, that would just ruin people's lives all the time.
Totally. Yeah.
I've never crashed a wedding, but I crashed a high school reunion. It was a multi-class one. When I lived in Phoenix, every Friday after work, me and some friends went to this one bar to get slaughtered. And a bunch of us were there. And there was a bunch of people there that had like the back of the patio, like the whole thing reserved. And they had a sign that said, "Welcome Freiburg alumni." So I asked the waitress about it. And she was like, "Yeah, they do this every year. It's a high school reunion of all these people. They come here, they get obnoxious." So my friend's husband bet me a drink that I couldn't go over there and pretend that I was one of them. So I walked out the back and came through the front, and I was like, "Where do we sign in for the reunion?" And they're like, "Who are you?" "I am Randall Savage, class of 91. Oh, yeah. Amazingly, there were yearbooks there and nobody bothered to look. So I'm sitting there talking to people about Freiburg, making shit up, having a good old time. Then I go back to my table. I said, "Oh, I see some friends from work over there. I'll be right back." I go back. I get my free drink. I'm still wearing my name tag. And this girl comes up to me. She looked like she just came out of the earth. she looked like she had all white hair, like she was a mole girl, and she was just drunk. And she comes over. Oh, you're a Freiburg alumni? Yes, Randall Savage, class of '91. Oh yeah. She goes, I can't believe so many of us live in Phoenix. At this point, I was thinking the school was in Phoenix. I'm like, I agree. She goes, yeah, can you believe so many of us from Maine live out here? I am like, no, it's unbelievable. So I know more. I am going. I went back. I was eating their free food. I was talking to a fellow alumni, one who remembered me, which was obviously amazing. But this girl was there, and we were talking. She goes, I was class of '91. I don't remember you. I'm like, well, I gained some weight, lost some hair. And she goes, who did you hang out with? Do you remember Scoots? And I figured since this was a private school, there was only someone named Scoots. And she's like, oh yeah, I haven't heard about him for years. I know he moved out to Hollywood to start making movies. Oh yeah, he's really successful. And then she's like, I haven't seen anything he's made. Yeah, if you watch porno, you have seen a lot of his movies. He is a director for Vivid Video.
Scoots.
Oh, Scoot Six.
So then I'm talking to the alumni. I'm talking to the alumni director, and I can't believe that no one bothered to check up on me at this point. I was trying to keep my story straight that I was divorced, have kids, own a PR firm. The lies were just building up. It was going to collapse sooner or later. So one of my other friends, she's like, well, hey, let me go over there. Introduce me as your girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, all right, I will do that. So we started walking over, and this old guy, walking as fast as he can, walks over to us. He goes, who is your headmaster?
Richard Flair.
And I am like, I'm a fraud. And then he said the funniest thing I've ever heard. How dare you sully the name of Freiburg Academy? And then I start laughing really hard, and she starts laughing really hard. He goes, why are you laughing? Because you said the word sullied. So
Nice.
I went on Freiburg's Academy's website, and that time they were selling T-shirts that said you went to that said the name of the school. I thought I would be in Phoenix the next year, so I would go to the bar the next time that they had their reunion, and I would learn the name of the headmaster.
Didn't happen.
I had to move back to Michigan because my mom was dying of melanoma.
Oh.
Yeah. So before we get to talking about the legendary,
I'm sorry. What?
the legendary Invisible Maniac, what do you guys think about Fun City breaking away from Vinegar Syndrome in 2 months?
Yeah, that one was a little surprising. It seemed like everything that I was reading was saying they were sticking around and just doing like a double distribution thing. So yeah, it's kind of a shock, I guess, but I don't know, maybe the other ones will be good that are joining.
I don't know. I've been pretty disappointed about a lot of the labels that are joining.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for Umbrella, but we're not going to get their full title releases every month.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a lot of reissues and of movies that some that haven't been released here on Blu-ray. We're probably just going to get Australian films or New Zealand films that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Or American films that they've licensed, like from budget studios.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is. It'll be interesting to see what happens this year. If anyone else is going to leave. I'm interested to see what the possibly third label that's joining is, and
What other label do you think is going to leave? Let's place our bets right now.
I mean, I feel like there's that one that gets like no attention. Was it like ETR Media?
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, is that what it stands for? Enjoy
Yeah.
the ride. And that other one, was it Music Box? I feel like no one ever talks about. I mean, I don't know if they would leave or if they would get the boot, but
Is that what's happening? Is FCN getting the boot?
no, they're apparently leaving. They got a better deal with MVD, or MVD bought them out or something. But
What sucks is MVD slipcovers are not as good as Vinegar Syndromes.
yeah, yeah, that part is going to be a shame. But I know they wanted to get like distribution in the UK, and I don't think that they could with Vinegar Syndrome.
But their deal in the UK is with that new label from the person who left Arrow Video.
Yeah.
The one that's releasing a lot makes me wish I had a region free player so I get Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Yeah. The Radiance one.
Yeah. But Radiance is being distributed in the States by MVD.
I say we get rid of all partner labels except Agfa. Let's just keep Agfa and get the fuck rid of the rest of them. Get them out of here. There's too many of them.
I fully agree that there's too many there's way too many partner labels. But what some of the partner labels do is bring a balance to Vinegar Syndrome Prime's output. I mean, some of them are, I want to say, classy movies. Like Fun City released some classy films. I haven't watched any, but I think Kana has as well. With Agfa and Culture Shock and Pulse, you just get more of what Vinegar Syndrome has, which is my main interest, are those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I honestly can't wait to see what Culture Shock has next. I mean,
have you seen the release that TerraVision is putting out next?
what is it?
I don't know if these movies are good, but I figured you guys might have heard from them. So it's their next release, it's $25, and it's like 4 movies on the disc. The big one is Attack of the Killer Refrigerator.
Oh God.
That's the big one, huh?
That's the big one. It's got The Hook of Woodland Heights. I think one was Days Before Christmas, and then there was a one that was added as a bonus feature called The Man-Eating Turtle.
All right, just based on that title alone, I might buy that one.
Oh yeah, I'm in. Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like once they left, their releases have got like pretty beefy. Like I know the last one had a lot of stuff on it. This one's pretty jam packed, and I wonder if more of them leave if they're able to start their own thing. If I don't know, if one of those ones that we talked about leaves, if they'll like up it.
I mean, here's the thing for TerraVision, it's their record label that makes them their money. They can stand to lose money on the Blu-rays for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because they were not a label that I would buy stuff from them every month. In fact, I've only bought 3 things from them: WNUF, the double movie that was the video movie. I can't remember what it was called.
Video Violence
1 and 2. And then I bought that shit documentary about Florida.
I haven't heard you talk about that one yet.
What? that proves you don't pay any attention to me. All right. So what labels do you think what other labels do you think would leave?
Let me see what they are here. Man, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ones that I never see anyone really talk about much. I mean, does anyone get into Yellow Veil?
No,
No.
I think about one of their releases.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
bought Knocking, and that was it, and didn't watch it until over the summer, and thought it was boring.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I could see Gunpowder and Sky leaving.
Leaving to do their own thing or just be.
Leaving to do their own thing.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the big things about MVD is it gets them in store.
Mhm.
Who else I see leaving? Altered Innocence.
You think so?
I could see them leaving again. It gets, if they go with a distribution company that does get stuff into like Barnes and Nobles and occasionally into Best Buys and FYE, I think they stand a greater chance of succeeding on their own.
Yeah. This one seems like one that puts a video out pretty frequently too.
I mean, Utopia could leave as well,
Yeah.
but I think they're pretty
They do.
intertwined with Vinegar Syndrome.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just sad because beside Agfa and Culture Shock, they were my favorite label.
Fun City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still get them. They just won't be half off.
Our friend Brian was telling us, not this Brian, our other friend Brian, was telling me that he ordered Party Girl off of Grindhouse, and it was basically what he would pay his subscriber.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, MVD, because they are so large and control the distribution, I'm sure can price things cheaper. Again, it won't be as fancy of a slipcover.
Mhm. Without that, who even cares to buy it, you know?
God damn it. Are you becoming like Mr. Slipcover Bullet Blake? I don't like a movie unless there's a piece of paper that covers it. The slipcover
Well,
helps. What?
that's Brian's thing, though, right?
Yeah, but he's not on
that you were
YouTube.
just talking about, like,
He's not on YouTube.
Oh no, I know. I thought that was like, I thought when he first said that he won't purchase a movie unless it comes with a slipcover. I thought he was referring to just like the boutique stuff. He meant anything. Because I asked him one day, I was like, "Did you specifically mean?" He's like, "No, like in general, I will not purchase a physical copy of a film if it does not have a slipcover." I was like, "Oh boy, man, I felt for the guy when he said that."
Well, here's the thing. I like slipcovers, but
Sure.
if I've missed out on like the limited edition of like American Rickshaw and I can't get the book or the slipcover, I'm just happy having the release.
Yeah, it's like we
I
were
mean,
talking about last week.
it's that's the most important thing is that we got the movie. And here's the thing, like there's a good portion of what Seven releases that doesn't come with slipcovers.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to take my enjoyment out of the movie? Fuck no. In fact, those movies are a little bit cheaper without it, and I'm all for it.
Past Matt used to despise slipcovers and threw them away every time he got a movie.
Who did?
Past Matt.
I don't know who that is. Oh,
Oh,
your past self.
You know who that is.
Your past self.
Yep.
I a while back I sold some movies from my collection because they were DVDs that I had that I was upgraded Blu-ray, and they came with slip covers. And I sold to this place called Vintage Stock when I lived in Kansas City, and right in front of me, they took the slip covers and ripped them off and put them in the trash.
Oh wow.
Pretty
Yeah.
aggressive.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was sad. I would have kept them. But by that time, money had exchanged hands, and they could do with them what they wanted to do with them.
Well, why that though? Why wouldn't they just keep them on there?
Because it for probably just to get more items on the shelf in the used section.
Monsters.
Yeah, savages. Now, why would past Matt take off the slipcover and throw them away?
I don't know. I didn't understand them at the time. I guess I just like when I would get them, they would have like a scratch or some part bent on it or ripped or something, and I'd be like, "Oh, this looks stupid. I'm just gonna throw it away." So, and I always see. I mean, it wasn't like boutique stuff. It was more just like normal movies. But now I always see people selling those exact things in like slipcover groups on Facebook for like astronomical dollars.
People will pay top dollar for
Yeah.
what they desperately want but don't have.
Mhm.
I want to talk about another thing before we get to our movie. Our friend Brian hosted the other night, had some surprise guests over. First of all, they all showed up unannounced.
No, that was poor wording on my part. Me
Okay.
and my buddy had planned to get together that night. We went out to a show before we came back to hang out, and there was a couple of friends that we had ran into at the show that we're just sitting upstairs talking. All of a sudden, I just hear a knock on the door, like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, the fuck? And yes, a couple of friends were down there.
Okay, let me finish this post. One of the dudes, I think his name is Roger. There's a rule
I
here.
only met him like once or
You
twice.
don't invite people in your house unless you know their names. It's a good rule to follow and a good way to stay alive. All right, the next
Well,
part.
I mean, I knew, yeah.
All right, Roger just asked me if I had a puppet porn film. I never felt like a better host, and then you showed Let My Puppet Come.
It was a good night.
Classic
How
move.
does one just bring that up in conversation?
Well, basically, what happened is my buddy, who I had made the plans with, he was excited for me to talk to this Roger guy more about movies because I guess he's into a lot of films and stuff. And he was just making a joke. He's like, "Oh yeah, bro, I could throw on some vintage porn or something." I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but yeah, it was just the first thing that came out of Roger's mouth. He's like, "I remember seeing like this puppet musical porn thing one time," and I was like, "I got you, my guy. I got you."
First question: did he blow you for having the movie?
Whoa. Whoa. That was the entry just to get into the house. This is before the film.
2, what was it like with so many dudes watching Let My Puppets Come? What kind of jokes were cracked?
Well, one of the guys was passed out on the floor. So then it was just me and 2 other guys. And yeah, it was a fun time. It was fun. We actually followed it up. We finished it, and then we watched Necrophiles. It was a good night.
Did anyone use the condom that came with the disc?
No.
You know, some guy used it even though it was just created for entertainment purposes only and not for real use.
Yeah.
Which is scary that someone went all the way to make a condom not for real use instead of going to the free clinic to getting a bunch of condoms and putting them in a new wrapper.
You're telling me we're not supposed to use that?
Yeah. And why would you?
Them. I thought it was a coin purse. I've been putting change in it.
You guys are idiots. All right. So did everyone like Let My Puppets Come?
Yeah.
Did it make your friends want to go to make a porno movie?
No, that didn't come up in conversation.
Okay. I mean, if you guys were all going broke and your amazing business was going out of business, making a porno is the only way to save it. That's the moral I learned from that movie.
Yeah.
And that puppets and
It's funny.
humans shared a world.
What a wonderful world it would be.
You know what was wonderful? Our movie of the week, The Invisible Maniac, directed by the non-de plume of Adam Rifkin. This was the second time I watched it, and it's funny. When I looked at the reverse cover art, I remember seeing that in the video store and thinking, what, this movie looks like a comedy. Why would they put in the horror section? So I never rented it. And it's one of those regrets I have now that this movie is hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
From the opening scene of the mom and the psychiatrist to the end scene where spoilers, where the invisible maniac gets away with it and ends up harassing the newscaster by ripping off her clothes. But I don't know. I really enjoyed this movie. It was a fun watch. Let me read the description of it. All right. Why are you loading so slow? Okay. The Invisible Maniac. Ever since he was a child, Kevin Dornwinkle wanted nothing more than the ability to spy on naked women. Traumatized for life. Traumatized for life when his prudish mother discovers his bedroom telescope pointed at the window of a nude and nubile neighbor, Kevin puts all his focus onto his other interest, science. Decades later, and now a respected physicist, Dr. Dornwinkle has made his greatest discovery yet, molecular reorganization serum, which has the power to turn a person invisible. After a demonstration to his peers fails horribly, the mild-mannered doctor suffers a breakdown, focusing all of his efforts on perfecting the serum and succeeding. The now fully unhinged Dornwinkle gets a job as a high school teacher and embarks on a rampage of molestation and murder. From the mind of acclaimed cult filmmaker Adam Rifkin, Detroit Rock City Psycho Cop returns, comes the Invisible Maniac, a lurid, sleazy, funny, weird, bloody, sexy, and original as any exploitation film can be. The Invisible Maniac stars Savannah, New Wave Hookers 2, Stephanie Blake, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Melissa Moore, Samurai Cop, Clement von Frankenstein, Phantasm, and Noel Peters as the perverted Dr. Dornwinkle. Never legally released on disc, Vinegar Syndrome is delighted to offer the Invisible Maniac on UHD for the first time, fully restored in 4K from its 35mm camera negative, and featuring a bodacious selection of extras, including cast and crew interviews and deleted scenes.
Two things right off the bat. One, I start this episode pretty upset because I had ordered a green morph suit and I was going to do this episode in front of my green screen and it did not get here in time.
Thank God.
Aww.
I was going to
Let's
have
stop recording.
sunglasses
Let's
come
try this
over and
again
everything.
later.
Oh
yeah.
Two, what's the story behind that? Do you know where it said never legally released on disc?
Oh, that means some people bootleg the hell out of it.
Oh, that's it. I didn't know if there was
Yeah.
a story where some company tried to put it out and got sued or something.
No, I will say something about this. I read it somewhere. First of all, this movie was nothing that I expected it to be. Like this was when I got my Black Friday order, and this was the one I was least looking forward to. And beside Roadhouse and Freeway, and you know what, all the releases were good. I can't.
Yeah, it was a good month.
But this one just was. It just was a remarkable film that could only have been made in the 90s.
Yeah, it checks off all the boxes. I mean, it's fucking great. I absolutely love it. I was telling Matt too a little while ago there that like I can't believe actually that this one didn't make my top discoveries of last year, my first time watches of last year, because yeah, it definitely should have. When I rewatched it, I was like, wow, this is amazing, like in every way.
So there was something interesting.
That poor kid got the shit slapped out of him just for trying to look at some boobies
and locked in a room for a year.
Yeah. I was also glad to know that I'm not the only one who just dances around like the girl does when they're getting undressed. I love doing a little dance routine.
All right,
my 50s doo-wop.
This is a funny story. When I lived in Seattle, I lived in a neighborhood called Magnolia, and it was basically a neighborhood that had a large hill, and you could it was going downward. You could see the apartments next to it, not below you, in front of you. You got a pretty good view. And this one woman, 10:15 every night, got naked in her bathroom and did not close did not close her shades. And sorry, not every night. Friday and Saturday would be later, but I was never home. and you couldn't help.
Oh, that just got so creepy.
I mean, I would be sitting there watching TV in my front room, and I could look out my window and just I didn't have a telescope. And then I managed to tell some friends from work about it, and one of them did arrive over unexpectedly at 9:45 just to see the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Every day I wanted to go over there. Every day I wanted to go over there and tell her to close her the shades in her bathroom or blinds in the bathroom. But then I was worried she'd be an exhibitionist or crazy.
Plus, you have to say, I only noticed because I've been watching you for the past year.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I think the truth is you thought about doing that, but we're hoping for a certain outcome. Did you know that you're blind?
I wasn't out. She wasn't there the whole time I lived in that apartment. It was like a year into a year or 6 months into my living there that started happening. And one fun fact about Seattle, no apartments had air conditioning, so in the summer you always had to keep your windows open. I mean, the weather there was perfect for not needing air conditioning. But I digress. Let's start off. All right. I totally digressed there. I just creeped myself out a little bit. So then we have him going many years after his mom locked him in the room. He's now a successful scientist, and he called a conference of the leading scientists where we hear the first best line in the movie. Some guy in a total American accent after the experiment failed yelled, I can't believe I flew all the way from Belgium for this.
But the first thing that was funny before that was the first time like progression card said 20 years later, and it cuts to that guy, and he's clearly like a 50-year-old man now.
But what was the newspaper?
Yeah.
What was after the murder? I think the newspaper was called the Boneville Press.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Boneville. Boing. All right. So then he's in a mental hospital. He escapes and immediately gets a job as a teacher for summer school. Now, keep in mind, for budget reasons, they decided to set it in summer school. But the only students you see are the same students that are in his class.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many questions. Why was there cheerleader practice?
How did he just walk off the street and get a fucking job
Yeah.
under a fake name? I mean, just, you know.
And the fake name was Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your name was again?
And it's fair,
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith.
No,
It's fair to mention too that the teacher that he's replacing died from choking on a roast beef sandwich? He died choking on a sandwich. What kind? Are we froze again?
No, sorry.
I'm not. No.
I
I thought Robert was for a second.
No, I got a text that that I've been asking for a while. So I needed a tape.
You're on our time, Robert.
Yeah. All right. So he then gets a job as Dr. Smith, which as a kid of a certain generation, I thought that was funny because Dr. Smith was the comic relief on Lost in Space. I was like, all right, that's a funny joke. Then we had the students who didn't want to be in physics class and didn't want to pay attention, which probably led to them being in summer school at the same time. We had a girl ask how she could get her boyfriend to marry her. And then we had the couple that was too shy to get with each other. Then we had Savannah and her boyfriend, and they like to have sex. Then we had a couple random girls there as well. So the doctor comes in with his fake credentials, gets introduced to the class. They make fun of him. Then he goes home and he perfects the serum. Now, Dr. Smith was living in squalor.
Yeah, dude. Good grief. Look at a little rat's nest. Not a tidy doctor.
It was like my basement.
Well, what makes it weird was he wasn't even there for that long. I'm guessing this movie took place in the course of a week, if that.
There were so many time progression cards at the beginning. I felt like it was multiple generations. There were like 8 of them right after another.
Then we have him tested on the rabbit. The rabbit goes invisible. Then he tested on himself. And he immediately gets crazier. He remembers the address of the student that the principal wanted him to tutor. He goes over there and basically molests her.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just gets weird. I will admit this movie had a bunch of creative kills. I mean, I'm surprised nobody who saw this movie named their band Death by Sub Sandwich.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
It also amazes me that Savannah, true to her porno roots, gave the most convincing acting job of anyone in this movie, especially in the scene where she asks the professor if she slept with him, if she would get an A. But unlike the porno movies, the teacher turned her down.
Yeah.
But she did get naked several times. Yay, us.
That was the most unrealistic part of the movie, when the teacher turned her down.
Well, I mean, it would have been nice if Riff Coogan threw a line in there. It was, well, that's never happened to me before. It's almost like in Scott Pilgrim, when the third of the exes showed up, and it was the girl who played it was the girl who Jason Bateman's son went out with, and whenever she came by, he's like, her?
Yeah.
A missed opportunity when she showed up. they could have had Michael Cera say, her? And that would have gotten huge laughs from everyone who's watched Arrested Development.
They should have went back in time and did that.
Yeah, it was bad. It was the worst choice Edgar Wright has ever made in a movie. And if we ever get him on the show, I am going to call him out on that. Yeah, and then the principal has sex with one of the students, and then she also molested the professor, Dr. Smith.
Yep.
Yeah,
she has needs. It's hard being on the top.
She was horny from the start.
And we had the mute, creepy janitor.
Hold
on. I have to say something right now.
No, that's how he is.
No, Grindhouse Chic does not approve of what Brian Baldwin just did.
Oh my God. It's what the character did.
I know it's what the character did. But we are a politically correct show. And I just need to keep that in mind of our viewers. If you were triggered by Brian's pretty good impression of the janitor, we don't condone it. But if you loved it, hold on. But if you loved it, we don't condemn it either. We're taking a very neutral
There's a
stance.
scene where this poor bastard, he realizes like all these bodies just showing up, and he's just trying to let everyone know. But again, his character, anytime the kids are just picking on him constantly, and just like they think he's like this creepy, perverted dude. And you just feel so bad for the guy. And again, they went really over the top with like, oh, what does a mute person do? Like, how do they communicate? And but when he starts seeing these dead bodies, there's this fantastic shot. He's just running through the school hallways, like so animated. Just I lost my shit.
Again,
I love that character.
We do not approve of Brian's impression of the janitor. But if you liked it, we don't condone it either. We don't condemn it either. All right.
So speaking of politically correct, would you say that Dr. Dornwinkle is the first incel put to film?
Probably. Probably. I never thought of that.
And would the Invisible Incel have been a better title?
But in whatever year this was, 91 or 92, whatever year this movie was made, incel wasn't a term.
Yeah, should have been.
So
now that guy who played the doctor, what is his name again?
Peter Duhamel.
He is awesome. I don't know anything about this dude's career, but I want to look it up. His performance in this was like fucking perfect, and he does such a good job at going from like stone serious face and everything to, in my opinion, I love how he went just full maniac. Like they gave him this just maniacal laughter throughout, once he just starts flying off the rails. I loved it. I thought he was fucking perfect for it, because I don't know, everything about the guy, you don't really expect to see that sort of thing out of him. Does that make sense? You can just look at someone and be like, oh, they probably wouldn't do something like that. But no, this guy he's whatever you said, 50-something years old, Matt, and just jumping around and having a good old time. Loves killing.
So Noel Peters has only done 2 movies. He did The Invisible Maniac, and in 1997 he did the vehicle that starred Brandy and Bernadette Peters and Jason Alexander, Whoopi Goldberg, Whitney Houston, Victor Garber, and I'm talking about, I think, the made for TV version of Cinderella. Savannah who played Vicky, ranked number 19 in AVN's top 50 porn stars of all time, raised in Texas and Southern California, was porn star Jenna Fine's girlfriend. She's one of the most notorious, controversial porn stars of all time. And this movie might have been one of the reasons she killed herself. I found this on Wikipedia. In an interview for the True Hollywood Story documentary on the life of the actress, former boyfriend Billy Sheehan recounted how Wilsley felt humiliated during the film's premiere, feeling unsure whether the audience was laughing at her poor performance or the character. Despite this reaction, she appeared in 3 more mainstream films before committing exclusively to pornography.
Yeah, I had read this other thing too that said that she had like taken a long break and was just about to get back into like an actual movie, and then like days before she was supposed to start filming, she got into a car accident and like broke her nose and like scratched her face up or something, and I guess she did it pretty quickly after that. Said she was dating Pauly Shore at the time.
And she also did
that'll do it.
She also did Slash from Guns N' Roses. Here's the thing. She was the best actress in this movie. Or the best performer in the movie.
Brian's gonna get this episode with a strike on it.
No,
Pauly Shore is one of our biggest fans.
What?
I said Pauly Shore is one of our biggest fans.
I actually like Pauly Shore. I'm just goofing.
Yeah, Pauly Shore, who hasn't left the 1990s. I am the weasel. Hey, buddy.
I do like how in this film we learned what 90s girls like, what you need to do to get a 90s girl. You put your face between their hooters and blow.
Oh man. I thought the fight sequence was really good, but one thing at the end, not in the apartment but in the gym, I thought it was really good. There was one thing that bugged me the first time I watched it and bugged me even more. The invisible serum wouldn't turn his clothes invisible.
Yeah.
I actually never even really thought about that. Yeah, okay.
You know what bothered me even more than that?
What?
Is if 2 people take it, they can see each other even though they're both invisible.
Yeah, that's scientifically inaccurate as well. But no, the clothes thing really bothered me as a reader of many comic books. You would think that they would have done a little bit more research. The serum could only affect organic matter.
Mm-hmm.
Clothes don't count. So the other thing, though, is when he made him bleed, the blood shouldn't have been shown because that was organic matter as well.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I laughed at is it doesn't matter how invisible you are trying to sneak up on girls if the whole time you're going
He had asthma. No, and how did the girl not wake up when he molested her?
A heavy sleeper, you know?
No, because it looked like she was smiling during I mean, this movie made invisible people seem like they're bad. I mean, almost every invisible movie makes them out to be bad. But this one took it to a whole new level.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they really, it's such the intro scene, I guess, is pretty pertinent to like the character, because we haven't even really mentioned the fact that the doctor in the school, like, he is peeping on these girls like while they're taking showers, like he really is just a pervert. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, he wanted to see, and I guess, do we think he turned out that way because his mom or whatever, wouldn't let him look at naked ladies or something. I don't. That was apparently very traumatizing for the young lad, and he has carried it with him. That all he cares about is how to become invisible and looking at naked ladies. That's all he cares about.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this. They didn't actually say it out in the movie. Do you think he was a virgin?
I'd say so.
Yeah. I think it's implied, like, especially with the way that, let's specifically say with the principal. I picked up on his mannerisms and everything that he doesn't really know what to do in this sort of a situation at all.
Huh. So that was his first time, most likely.
Well, I mean, they didn't even really do it. Like he got all stabby before he.
Yeah. Yeah. But that would mean that was
He's like, is that how I do it?
Yeah. And here's what I'm kind of surprised about. I didn't realize it until now, is that no paper had a picture of him. Like the school principal wouldn't have recognized him for one of the most traumatic massacres in the scientific community.
Well, it had a different name above him, so that could have been anyone.
It doesn't matter. Oh, here's the guy who looks like the escaped maniac scientist who is out there, and all of a sudden we get this guy who looks like him under a different name, but with
It's still the same first name. One other thing, did you guys feel like he was, and this might just be reading into it way too much, but did you feel like he was trying to use the serum to make himself feel like not as shitty about himself? Like, clearly he's a pervert, clearly he's done this entire life, and every time he took the serum he was like, oh, it's making me dream about naked girls, and it inexplicably drove me to look in the women's locker room.
No. But it was also making him smarter.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, there is one. There's a pretty funny moment too where let me ask you guys this. So with the whole thing of him wanting to become invisible, he does say, like, in that board meeting with the other scientists at the beginning, like, the greatest advancement in medical history or something, like, what would be the medicinal purpose of becoming invisible? So I think that maybe onto something where he just wants a way to be able to molest people.
Actually, that's his intention of it. But man, if any army had that, they would instantly win the war by sending in their invisible.
Well, that's still not medicinal purpose, though. That's warfare.
No. There is no medicinal reason to turn invisible unless you're really, really ugly. Now, I do not mean to offend really, really ugly viewers and listeners out there. I'm just saying, in the world of the Invisible Maniac. I also like the fact the principal told the football player that she would not approve his scholarship. Now, I am not in the education field, but I don't think it works that way. I don't think the principal can block it.
Yeah.
But that said, this was a really fun movie, and I really wanted to show it to friends.
Yeah, it'd be a good one to watch with people for sure.
But only really, the movie has a lot of classic lines like, "It is I, your friendly neighborhood invisible maniac." It's such a great line. Did you watch any of the extras on there?
I watched some.
I didn't get a chance to.
Well, one of them is.
I watched the interview with. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, the interview with Adam Rifkin, he explained the whole Riff Coogan idea was he was using this movie to train himself when he was going to be directing bigger films. And then there was the interview with him done on a local video request show in Southern California, which was really entertaining because we didn't see any of the music videos because they cut them out probably for rights issues. But the premiere of it took place at the Pussycat Theater, which is a chain of porn theaters, or was a chain of porn theaters. And it sold out the weekend it played there. So there was an audience for this film.
Yeah, I feel like I had read somewhere that they heavily marketed it as like a comedy. And I mean, even that cover that you said you saw, I mean, even that makes it look like it's, I don't know.
But it was still in the horror section. And
yeah.
Here's the thing. I knew who Adam, actually, by that time I did not know who Adam Rifkin was, so it wouldn't have mattered if he used his real name. It'd be a few years later when I saw some of his other when I discovered his films. But no, I mean, I've often said like that Vinegar Syndrome has been releasing a lot more mainstream fare. In fact, right before we recorded, I was eating my lunch. I was watching a video of someone saying that is physical media, the title is physical media going to go extinct in 2023. And he said, there are a lot of great boutique labels like Vinegar Syndrome, a label I would never buy on their stuff from, but they've released some really good stuff this year, like Roadhouse. And I'm thinking, yeah, Roadhouse gets you in the door, but these are the movies that represent what Vinegar Syndrome is all about. Invisible Maniac is one of those titles. It just makes me happy that they brought this out to an audience that has never seen it before. And I think boutique labels are going to be, I mean, look, I'm excited about what Vinegar Syndrome is starting out in 2023. And I'm really excited to find out what hidden treasures they're going to release beyond the Shout Factory re-releases, the VSUs, which are just made, cable led, HBO, or movies that were regular on HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, and the Movie Channel. So, yeah. How many Invisible Maniacs would you give this movie, Brian?
I'm actually going 5. I just loved the hell out of it. And I think it's really applaudable. We had mentioned earlier briefly, like on how long it took them to shoot this, and I think if I remember from the special features, I think they said like 11 days or something. I could be wrong on that, but what I was going to say is with the director said something really interesting in one of those special features where he was like, we all knew that this was not going to be a quote unquote good movie. So we all went into this with just the intention of let's just have some fun, and I think you can really see that in this one. Everyone is just having, at least appears to be having, a really good time. And I thought it was pretty impressive. I mean, I love the whole scene with our doctor is invisible and he's chasing, the one kind of, not the football player guy, but the other dude. There's this whole scene where they're running through the school halls. And it's pretty impressive. I mean, it's comical, because the guy's given it all he's got as far as how do I fight something that I can't see, but you have the whole comical, like, punching sound effects, and he's, jerking his head around and rolling around and stumbling. And of course, we get to the rooftop and the whole conclusion where he flies off the roof and lands on his car, which I found out that was actually his car. He they were trying to figure out how to get a car for the scene, and he's like, oh, I just used mine. And they were saying by the time they were done with it, there was just like this huge, fucking dent in it and everything. And they said he just, after they were done shooting, he just got in his car and drove off. He didn't give a fuck. He was just happy to be in the film.
Before we go on to our raid, there are 2 other sequences I want to talk about. One is the 2 girls who ran to the classroom saying someone was trying to murder them, and he gave the worst reaction. It was so overboard. Then he turns invisible, comes back and kills them.
Yeah.
after he tells him to wait in the classroom. In other scenes, he is willing to chase people. But these were his laziest kills. And then keep on the theme of laziest, the cops that bust into the apartment at the end and just assume that the body is his. Why didn't they check for fingerprints? Because it would have come off with somebody else. Because he was a criminal and a killer. His fingerprints were already out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure they set this up for a potential sequel if it did well enough, because he went and rips off the blouse of the news reporter.
Mm-hmm.
I like at the
Also,
end of
you
that.
think the cops would have heard him with, again, his maniacal laughter, like right after they walk out of the room. He's just like, I've done it. You know?
Oh, they didn't seem like they were the brightest.
I like at the end of that scene where they're like, what would make someone do this to themselves? And they just bend down and find the needle, and they both look at each other like like drugs.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. When they were shaking their head, they were like thinking, we are not good police officers. This is why we haven't been promoted yet. All right. Brian, how many Invisible Maniacs would you give this movie? Oh, you said 5.
I already rated it. I'm sorry.
All right,
Yeah,
Matt,
5. Yeah.
what about you?
Brian, what was your favorite kill?
I kind of, for whatever reason, I really liked the fire hose strangulation. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, again, with just talking about where we are with technology now and upgrading, I mean, you can clearly see a lot of stuff in this movie where there's strings holding stuff up and everything.
Yeah.
Well,
actually,
that's true.
I don't know, that dude eating the sub, that was pretty fucking cool. Like his throat starts swelling up and everything, and it's just this, he's shoving this sandwich down his throat. That was pretty cool.
Do you think when he was writing the script, he thought to himself, man, that shish kebab death and happy birthday to me was pretty cool. How can I make it funnier? Sub sandwich.
Sub sandwich. There was a lot of creative kills in this one. That you have the chick in the shower with the what does he do? Throws the radio in the water or whatever. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Poor Savannah.
My favorite was and it doesn't even show it, but I really liked at the end when he's visible again in the gym and he just goes and jumps in the air and stomps on the girl, and he just walks away and there's just like meat falling off his pants and stuff. That was my favorite.
Yeah, that was a good one.
My favorite was the sub sandwich, because I the first time I saw it, I just laughed so hard because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
If I managed to read any of the Letterboxd reviews before I watched the movie, that would have been spoiled for me. I would have been pissed. So, Matt, how many Invisible Maniacs would you give this movie?
I'm going a little lower. I did have a lot of fun with it, and I thought the scenes where they were essentially fighting themselves were hilarious. But one thing that just took me out of it a little bit was that there wasn't like one person in the movie that I liked. Like everyone in the movie is just like a piece of shit. So I didn't have anyone to root for.
Yeah, it was like the Bizarro version of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. So I mean that took me out a little bit, but it was pretty fun overall. I'm gonna go 3.
All right. Well, I am gonna go 4.5 Invisible Maniacs, because watching a movie twice in a short period of time where it still holds up, where you're still laughing at the same jokes, proves that it's a good movie. It wasn't perfect, like the stupidity, like I don't blame Riff Coogan in 1989 when he probably wrote this, that he was like not thinking of things like clothes don't go invisible. But also he would have had some funny jokes of the professor being naked when he reemerged. I just thought not all the characters were well defined. Some were more defined than others. And I'll tell you, I did find the principal to be the sleaziest character in the film. I was actually glad when she died. So for that reason, I give it 4.5.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm going to propose next week's movie as we continue on with horror films or horror comedies starring porn stars. I think we watch Evil Laugh next week.
Evil Laugh, you said?
Yeah. Also because Invisible Maniac had an evil laugh, and that one does too.
Oh, that laugh.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Plus, I really want to talk about that movie, and maybe next week we'll answer the question. Since Scott Baio's brother was a star, why couldn't they get Willie Ames' brother to star in it as well?
I've got an announcement for you guys before we hop off.
What?
Ooh.
Sad to say, this is going to be my last Sunday show. In the basement. I'm going back upstairs.
Woohoo!
Okay, I was like, "This what?"
that would be something we would have to have had a talk about beforehand.
Oh, that was real awkward silence.
On that note,
dude, I was like, I don't know how to react right now.
All right, Brian, how many Grindhouse Chic awards would you give Matt for that acting performance?
I saw a tear roll down Brian's cheek.
Yeah, I do have to say, I thought he had reached top Matt whenever he came last week as Dalton. That was a very impressive job he did there. But yeah, I think he just outdid himself. Oh wait, what's that? Oh my God, there's more. I'd give it 5.
I had my real hair formed into a wig.
All right, I'm going to just go with 2 because you broke my heart. Nobody breaks my heart and gets away with it. I will have a week to heal though, and we will talk about it next week as we watch Evil Laugh. Thank you all for watching. If you liked, please hit that like button. If you really liked it, please hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. If you want to share this video, please share it because it will help our algorithm. Yes, we want everyone to watch Grindhouse Chic in 2023. That was Brian's dying third cousin's final words on his deathbed.
Robert will pay you if you share this video.
I will not pay you. Oh, I want to ask you guys something. Did you guys order Martin, the second site release?
I just pre-ordered it the other day when you brought it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to see the other.
Gonna see what?
I'm pretty sure we're going to see the other labels announced. It's sold out in the next couple. Not the labels, retail stores.
Yeah, I got it through Grindhouse. It says they've still got them.
Same thing with Diabolique, and I wish I ordered it from Grindhouse because it was cheaper. But I just panicked when I saw Orbit.
Yeah. I was kind of pissed that I missed that last AGFA slip. Sold out like overnight. They sold like 300 copies overnight.
Which one?
The last one they put out, Attack of the Beast Creatures, I think it was called.
Huh. Did they lower the number of slips they released for that one?
It was 2,000. I mean, it's a little lower than their usual, but even the standard ones only got a little over 200 copies left.
So here's a question. What is the rarest Vinegar Syndrome slip?
Like Vinegar Syndrome only?
Yes.
Bloodhook's up there for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say I always see people trying to get that. I mean, I don't know how many people got the lenticular for Invisible Maniac, but I don't know how high that one is.
I didn't get one. When I messaged Evie on Thursday to up my shipping to premium shipping, I paid $12, but she said it's now $10. If you send me $88 more, I'll just up you to it for all your releases. And I was like, that's okay. And then I did it. I did it. I thought that was great. And then I started thinking, man, now I'm not going to have my monthly interactions with her anymore. She's going to miss the highlight of her month.
I am curious as to how many of those lenticular slips sold, because I would venture to guess that may at this point be the most limited one.
I'll make you a bet, Brian, that at halfway sale, we will see some of them. We'll see it for sale there.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I also believe at conventions they will be selling it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Someone will post something complaining if they do that.
Good. Because I'm not paying high dollar for a fucking lenticular slip. I wish I had the
paid
option.
6.
What?
Could have just paid $6.
Yeah, but no one knew what it was. They should have opened the opportunity on Black Friday to sell some more.
Yeah.
Or during subscriber week.
Have either of you got your January box yet?
No. They haven't started. They've shipped out if you just order partner label stuff or didn't combine them, people have been getting the partner label stuff because they've been available now.
Okay.
But I think we'll start getting shipping notices this week.
So excited.
Which movie are you most excited about?
I think probably that I can't remember what they all were at this point, but I think probably that little box set, the Hong Kong one.
Okay, I think that one's gonna be good. It's not gonna be the first thing I open though.
I can't remember what it was included in the actual January shipment.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I'm excited for the VSLs.
I am too. Hold on. All right. I am excited about From Beyond, Undeclared War. The first thing I open will probably be the VSL of Flesh and Fantasy, and then the archive VSA of Ted Bundy. The one I'm least excited about is The Beast in Space. I cracked open my Severin copy, which is not the hardcore version, and started rewatching it. That should not be included in Peakorama.
Not enough peak.
It's boring. It's a really boring movie. But I'm so excited about Sidekicks.
Yeah, I was just about to say I didn't order either of the VSUs yet.
There were 2 VSUs? No, there's only one VSU and
I'm
2
thinking
VSAs.
I'm thinking of Ted Bundy, yeah.
I've seen Ted Bundy before. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited about the Hong Kong one as well.
Mm-hmm.
When Criterion releases the Franco Zeffirelli version of Romeo and Juliet, I might watch it. It's a double feature because Olivia Hussey is in both of them.
When's that one coming?
I don't know. I have no idea. I need to go write a negative review about the Velvet Underground movie, which I saw when it came in theaters, about Criterion releasing it. Because that movie is shit. It might be one of the worst documentaries I have ever seen. It only covers the highlights of the Velvet Underground. It doesn't really get into... It doesn't go in depth about what happened after John Cale left and after Lou Reed left and how the band kind of continued for one album. It just briefly touches that. It's like, well, that's the most interesting part, watching the band fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, we'll be back next week. Thank you all for watching, and please again like, share, subscribe. LSS. Next week next week Matthew might just dress up as Alec Baldwin and give a speech about that in the vein of Glengarry Glen Ross.
I could probably get an orange jumpsuit here pretty quick. Oh, too soon. Quick.
All right.
Quick,
On that
cut the
note,
video. Cut the video. Yeah, that's pretty sad.
it is. It is. All right. We will be back next week.
See you guys.
See ya.
Why is it taking so long to cut the video?